ever found yourself waking up feeling like you've been, I don't know, shrink wrapped overnight?
Oh, definitely. Or like you aged about 30 years just lying in bed.
Exactly. Or maybe you have that one spot, that nagging tension in your neck, or maybe it's your lower back, and it just will not let up no matter how much you stretch or try to relax.
Mm-hmm. It's incredibly common.
Yeah, and you might feel this general sense of being off, stiff, restricted, but you go to the doctor and, well, everything looks fine. Blood work's normal. There's no clear diagnosis. It's incredibly frustrating.
It really is. And people start to think, is it all in my head?
Right. Okay, so let's unpack this. What if the secret to understanding these chronic tensions, this persistent stiffness, and maybe even some deeper emotional blockages, what if it lies in something most of us have never even really heard of?
Something hidden in plain sight.
Exactly. Like an invisible, intricate fabric woven throughout your entire body.
Well, that invisible fabric, as you put it, is fascia. And you're right, for a long, long time, it was largely overlooked in traditional anatomy and medicine.
Just sort of pushed aside.
Pretty much, often dismissed as mere packing material, or something to be cut away during dissections to get to the important stuff like muscles and organs.
Okay.
But groundbreaking new research, along with, frankly, centuries of insights from alternative and somatic healing practices, is revealing that fascia is this pervasive connective tissue network.
Pervasive meaning? Everywhere.
Literally everywhere. And it profoundly impacts our physical structure, our movement, our sensory perception, and even our emotional well-being.
Wow.
So today, we're embarking on a deep dive. We're digging into your sources, and it's a rich tapestry, right? Cutting-edge research papers, medical overviews, insights from fields like rolfing, Reiki therapy.
So a real mix.
A real mix. And our mission is to reveal exactly what fascia is, how its dysfunction contributes to so much of the chronic tension and misalignment we experience, and most importantly, what powerful holistic steps you can take to restore its health and really reclaim your body's true fluidity.
Okay.
We're going to explore its critical, multifaceted role and how it fundamentally shapes, your body's story.
When you hear connective tissue, I think most people, myself included, instinctively picture something inert, like simple padding or maybe a biological kind of cling film, just holding things in place.
That's the classic view, absolutely. The biological duct tape, almost.
Right. That's certainly been the prevailing view for a long time. But our sources, they challenge this idea completely. They describe fascia as something far more dynamic, even profound.
Yeah.
I saw one quote saying it knows you intimately and has been writing your biography in tension and shape.
That's a powerful image, isn't it?
It really is. It suggests this isn't just some passive substance filling the gaps. What's truly fascinating here, based on what we're seeing, is how active, how responsive this overlooked system actually is.
It's an absolute paradigm shift in understanding, honestly. Modern research reveals fascia not as isolated bits of packing material, but as this continuous, interconnected, three-dimensional web. And it truly envelops every single cell, nerve, joint, tendon, ligament, everything in your body.
Everything.
Everything. Imagine, if you will, a vast kind of intelligent spider web shimmering and a lot woven throughout your entire form.
Okay, that's a very different picture from cling film.
Totally different. Some anatomists even describe it this way. If you could somehow magically dissolve every muscle, bone, organ, and nerve, this fascial web would still leave a complete, perfectly formed, almost ghostly outline of your physical identity.
Wow. That's incredible.
It's a remarkable concept. This web is both a container and a conduit. It gives your body its inherent shape, its structural integrity, and its extraordinary ability to move and function as one cohesive, intelligent unit.
So it's holding us together, but also letting us move.
Exactly. It's what allows your bicep to contract, sure, but it also connects that contraction all the way down to the tips of your fingers, or maybe even up into your shoulder girdle. It distributes the force.
That's quite a departure from simple packing material indeed. So if it's this dynamic, this interconnected thing, what is it actually made of? And how is it structured to allow for all this incredible function, from deep structural support to that frictionless movement you mentioned?
Right. So at its core, fascia is primarily composed of two really critical protein fibers. First, you have collagen.
Okay, I've heard of collagen.
Yeah, most people have. It's an incredibly strong kind of rope-like protein. Think of it like the high tensile steel cables in a suspension bridge.
Ah, okay. Strong.
Immense strength, provides resilience to withstand pulling forces. Then there are elastin fibers.
Elastic.
Exactly, as the name suggests. They give fascia its elasticity. They allow it to stretch and recoil, kind of like a perfectly tuned rubber band, enabling movement while maintaining that structural integrity.
So strong but stretchy.
Precisely. But here's where it gets truly interesting for that smooth, effortless movement. Between its multiple layers of collagen and elastin, there's this crucial liquid substance called hyaluronin.
Hyaluronin, like hyaluronic acid.
Exactly the same thing. Yes, hyaluronic acid. This is the body's natural lubricant. It's a viscous, sort of gel-like substance.
Slippery.
Very slippery. It facilitates the smooth gliding and stretching of fascial layers against each other. This allows for virtually frictionless movement between structures like muscles, nerves, organs.
Okay, that sounds vital.
It is, because without sufficient hyaluronin, those fascial layers can literally start to stick or, bond together.
Adhesions.
That's where they start. And all this incredible tissue, it's not static. It's constantly maintained, repaired, and remodeled by specialized cells called fibroblasts.
Fibroblasts. Okay.
And these cells are exquisitely sensitive. They actively respond to mechanical forces, to tension, even to chemical signals. They play a vital role in the tissue's ongoing health and its malleability, its ability to change.
And you mentioned layers earlier, too. So it's not just one uniform sheet across the whole body.
Right.
That makes sense if it has so many distinct jobs.
That's absolutely right. It's a multi-layered, highly specialized system. Think of it almost like a complex architectural blueprint for your body.
Right.
There are 4 primary layers we can talk about, each with distinct functions, and understanding them helps us grasp the incredible specificity of fascia's role.
All right, let's break them down.
First, the superficial fascia. This is the outermost layer, found directly beneath your skin.
Right into the skin, okay.
It's a looser, more pliable connective tissue.
Yeah.
It supports your skin, allows for its incredible mobility and stretch. Think about how you can pinch your skin and move it around.
Yeah.
It also provides vital insulation against cold and heat and cushioning against impacts. You might notice it's generally thicker in your torso, providing more padding there, and maybe a bit thinner in your limbs.
Makes sense. What's next?
Deeper in, we find the deep fascia. Now, this layer is much denser, much more fibrous. It truly encapsulates and compartmentalizes individual muscles, bones, nerves, blood vessels. It acts like a robust internal scaffolding.
Holding everything in its place.
Exactly. It's crucial for transmitting the force generated by muscles across joints. It provides crucial attachment points for muscles, and it actively assists in venous return, helping blood flow back to the heart.
Wow, it helps circulation, too.
It does. This layer also plays a significant role in stabilizing your structures during movement. And within this deep fascia, there are subtypes, like the aponeurotic fascia, which is thick and sheet-like, forming strong, broad tendons.
Like in the lower back.
Exactly, or the palm of your hand. And epimysial fascia, which is thinner and tightly connected to the surface of individual muscles, like a sausage casing almost.
Okay, got it. 2 down.
Then we have visceral fascia. This is a specialized form that delicately supports and encloses all the organs within your body cavities, your lungs, heart, digestive organs, and so on.
So around the organs.
Yes. Its primary role is to allow these organs to slide and move freely against each other as you breathe, digest, move, prevents them from creating internal friction, which would be disastrous.
Yeah, definitely don't want that.
And finally, the parietal fascia. This lines the walls of your body cavities. It provides a structural lining, acting as an internal skin for your torso, much like wallpaper lines a room.
Lining the inside walls.
Okay. The key takeaway here isn't just memorizing these names, though. It's understanding that this isn't just one simple sheet. It's an incredibly organized, multifunctional system. Each layer plays a precise, specialized role.
And that means a problem in one might be very different from a problem in another.
Precisely.
Right.
Which is absolutely crucial for how we approach diagnosing and eventually healing fascial dysfunction.
So beyond just simply holding things in place and providing that framework, what are these other, perhaps less obvious, but still absolutely crucial roles that fascia plays in our everyday movement and overall well-being?
Oh, its functions are truly vital, extending far, far beyond passive support. Firstly, it provides fundamental structural support and protection. It acts as a soft tissue skeleton, you could say.
A soft skeleton. Interesting.
Yeah. It intricately compartmentalizes muscles, allowing them to work efficiently without interfering with neighboring tissues. It provides essential attachments for muscles and, perhaps most importantly, protects delicate structures like nerves and blood vessels.
Can you give an example of that protection?
Sure, a classic example is the flexor retinaculum in your wrist. It's a thick band of deep fascia that overlies and safeguards the vital median nerve as it passes through the carpal tunnel.
Carpal tunnel syndrome involves that, right?
Exactly. Without that fascial protection, the nerve would be much more vulnerable to compression and damage.
Okay, so structure and protection. What else?
Secondly, and this is critical, it's involved in myofascial force transmission. For a long time, we thought muscle force was transmitted solely through tendons to bones, simple lever system.
Yeah, that's what I learned.
Right. But research now shows that when a muscle contracts, the force isn't just transmitted linearly through its tendon to the joint. Up to 30%, sometimes even more of that force can be transmitted laterally, sideways, into the surrounding connective tissue.
30%, wow.
Yeah. It means fascia is an active, dynamic player in how your body generates and distributes power. Those sensitive fibroblasts we discussed, they actively respond to these mechanical forces, signaling for tissue remodeling and adaptation.
So the fascia itself changes based on how we move.
Constantly. Your entire fascial network is constantly adapting to the stresses and movements you impose upon it.
That completely shifts how I've always thought about movement. So when you say up to 30% of that force can be transmitted to the surrounding connective tissue, does that mean, well, does it mean a lot of our traditional strength training might be missing a whole dimension? If we're only thinking about individual muscles.
You're absolutely spot on.
It sounds like we should be thinking about the entire system working together.
Precisely. It means that movement and strength are far more integrated than a simple muscle-by-muscle model suggests. And this leads directly to fascia's profound role in movement and friction reduction.
Okay, back to the slippery stuff.
Back to the slippery stuff. Healthy fascia, with its abundance of that hyaluronan, provides a smooth, lubricated surface. This allows muscles, tendons, joints, even internal organs to glide against each other effortlessly, without friction or painful rubbing.
Which sounds essential.
Essential. Without sufficient lubrication, you would experience debilitating friction and tears with every movement. It would severely limit your mobility.
Okay, but here's where it gets truly fascinating, you said.
Yes. Fascia is also a profound proprioceptive and communication organ.
Proprioception. That's body awareness, right? Where you are in space.
Exactly. Fascia is incredibly sensitive, almost as sensitive as your skin, because it's densely innervated with a huge number of specialized sensory nerves.
Nerves in the fascia.
Loads of them. These include mechanoreceptors like Golgi, Pacini, and Ruffini receptors. These aren't just fancy names. They're tiny, sophisticated sensors embedded throughout your fascial web.
Little spies.
Kind of. They make your fascia almost as communicative as your brain itself. They're constantly feeding your brain information about your body's precise position in space, that's the proprioception, but it's also an interoceptor.
Interoceptor, meaning inside feeling.
Yes, sensing your internal state, like thirst, bladder fullness, or even subtle emotional discomfort or unease.
Wow, so it feels things too.
It feels things. This means fascia is not just structural. It's a profound sensory system. It listens, reacts, and critically, it remembers. Yes. Some researchers even consider it part of a secondary nervous system because it processes and distributes tension information at lightning speed, profoundly impacting motor control, balance, coordination, pain tolerance, and even emotional states.
Mind-blowing.
It is. This is why when your fascia is off or restricted, your entire sense of where you are in space can feel disrupted. You might feel clumsy or uncoordinated.
It's like a silent, body-wide communication network, constantly relaying information. That's, mind-blowing. What other essential roles does this amazing tissue play?
Well, it also performs crucial shock absorption. Think of it like a beautifully engineered suspension system for your internal organs and joints. It distributes mechanical stresses evenly throughout the body.
Protecting us from impact.
Exactly. Reducing the risk of localized injury, especially during high-impact activities or sudden movements. And finally, fascia plays a significant supportive role in circulation.
We touched on that with the deep fascia.
Right. It aids venous return, particularly in the lower limbs, helping pump blood back up against gravity, and it improves overall lymphatic flow. The deep fascia, in particular, is richly vascularized and contains well-developed lymphatic channels, helping to clear waste products and reduce swelling.
So it helps clean house, too.
It really does. So it's not just structure, it's dynamic, communicative, protective, and helps keep your entire system flowing efficiently. It's fundamental.
So we've talked about this incredible dynamic web and all its vital functions. Seems pretty important. But what happens when this intricate system breaks down?
Yeah.
What does dysfunctional fascia actually feel like to us in our everyday lives? That stiffness, that pain?
Right. When fascia is healthy, it's relaxed, it's got this wavy structure under a microscope, it's flexible, and it has that beautiful slippery quality we keep mentioning, allowing effortless gliding between structures.
Like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. Exactly. But when it becomes dysfunctional, it undergoes profound changes. It literally thickens, it gets sticky, it dries out and becomes much, much tighter. Our sources describe it as turning gummy and crinkled up, losing its natural waviness.
Gummy and crinkled up. That sounds unpleasant.
It feels unpleasant. And a key factor in this transformation is the loss or damage of that crucial hyaluronan fluid, that slippery gel-like substance that allows things to glide. When that dries up or changes consistency,
Things stick.
The layers can adhere, friction increases, movement becomes restricted.
And what triggers this transformation? Going from healthy, wavy, slippery to gummy and crinkled.
Yeah.
What causes those vital tissues to become stiff and sticky?
Well, a wide range of factors can contribute, unfortunately, and they often initiate the sort of self-perpetuating cascade of interconnected changes.
Like a downward spiral.
Very much so. Injury and trauma are certainly obvious culprits, direct physical damage, fall and accident, but also repeated microtrauma from daily activities or even surgical procedures.
Scar tissue.
Exactly. That can lead to the formation of dense adhesions and internal scar tissue, severely reducing the fascia's mobility and flexibility.
Makes sense.
Inflammation is another huge one, and this is a particularly critical point our sources emphasize. Inflammation isn't just a symptom of fascial dysfunction, it's often a direct and powerful driver.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So it causes the problem too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chronic inflammation, whether it's from systemic conditions like autoimmune disorders or localized due to an injury, directly damages the hyaluronan. It makes it less fluid, more gel-like, stickier.
Okay.
And this inflammatory response also activates those fibroblasts, the tissue maintenance cells we talked about. They kind of go into overdrive.
Trying to fix it.
Trying to fix it, but in a way that makes things worse long term. They start producing excessive amounts of extracellular matrix components, particularly collagen, but it's laid down in a disorganized, stiffening way. This perpetuates a fibrotic response.
Fibrosis.
Okay.
Like scar tissue again.
Essentially, yes, leading to pathological thickening, tightening, and the formation of more adhesions that just lock the tissue down further.
So it's truly a vicious cycle where inflammation just makes the problem worse and harder to resolve.
Exactly. Then you have things like repetitive strain or overuse.
Like working at a computer all day or playing tennis.
Perfect examples. Sustained repetitive motions common in many jobs, sports, or even habits like constantly using a mouse or smartphone, or maybe sudden unaccustomed exercise like deciding to run a marathon next week.
Probably not a good idea.
Probably not.
Yeah.
This can overload not just muscles, but the fascia supporting them. This leads to thickening, chronic stiffness, and the formation of those painful knots, myofascial trigger points.
Okay.
Similarly, poor posture and awkward positions play a significant role. If you habitually slump or slouch or sit for prolonged periods in a compromised position.
Which is most of us, let's be honest.
Sadly, yes. The chronic strain leads to adaptive shortening and adhesions within the fascia, which can physically distort your posture over time. Your fascia literally learns the bad posture.
Yeah.
And a sedentary lifestyle or lack of movement is a truly massive contributor. When you don't move enough,
Use it or lose it.
kind of, the fascial fluids become stagnant, they don't circulate well, and the collagen fibers literally start to stick together, much like a sponge drying out and getting hard.
That image really resonates.
Doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
This leads to pervasive stiffness, adhesions, impaired circulation, making even simple movements feel effortful. I can definitely relate to that sticking together feeling after sitting for too long.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like your body stiffens up saying, nope, not moving from here today.
I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah.
But what about the less obvious factors? You mentioned emotional stress earlier. How does that tie into this physical network? That seems like a big leap for some people.
It might seem like a leap, but it's a powerful link.
Yeah.
And it's one that, ancient wisdom traditions have spoken about for centuries, and now it's increasingly being validated by modern science.
Okay.
Emotional stress and chronic anxiety don't just feel bad, they directly impact your fascia. The nervous system, which is highly integrated with fascia, responds to stress by increasing muscle tension and promoting clenching patterns. Think jaw clenching, shoulder bracing.
Holding your breath.
Holding your breath, exactly. This translates directly into palpable tightness, chronic tension patterns, and the development of trigger points within the fascial network, significantly reducing its elasticity and fluidity.
So stress literally makes you tighter.
Literally. Our sources highlight a crucial bidirectional relationship here. Chronic physical fascial restriction can impact emotional well-being, leading to feelings of being stuck or disconnected.
Right.
And conversely, chronic emotional stress can manifest as persistent physical tension and pain. It's not just a metaphor. Your emotions truly have a physical home in your fascia.
Wow. Okay, that's huge. What else?
Well, beyond these, nutritional deficiencies also play a role. A lack of essential nutrients like vitamin C and adequate protein, which are crucial for collagen synthesis, can weaken the tissue and impair its elasticity.
So diet matters for fascia too.
It really does. And sadly, excessive sugar intake can negatively affect fascia's elasticity, making it more brittle by creating something called crosslinks in the collagen.
Ah, okay. Less flexible.
Less flexible. Finally, lack of sleep or chronic fatigue impairs the body's natural recovery and repair processes. This makes it harder for fascia to rebound from daily stresses and contributes to the development of painful trigger points.
It sounds like everything is connected.
It truly is a multifactorial problem. It highlights that our lifestyle choices, how we move, how we sit, what we eat, how we handle stress, how we sleep, they all ripple through this incredibly sensitive system.
So it's not just about what we do to our bodies physically, but also what our bodies experience emotionally and how we nourish them. That makes sense. And what happens at an even deeper microscopic level when all these factors are at play. What's the cellular story behind this transformation from healthy to dysfunctional fascia?
Right, the nitty-gritty. The transition involves specific interconnected cellular and tissue level changes that unfortunately often create that self-perpetuating cycle we mentioned.
The downward spiral.
Exactly. When you experience microtrauma or sustained muscle contractions from poor posture or chronic stress, it triggers an inflammatory response in the local tissues.
Right.
This inflammation, as we discussed, directly damages the hyaluronan, that vital lubricant. It causes it to lose its slippery quality, becoming more gel-like, stickier. This makes the fascial layers dry out and literally adhere to each other.
Just sticking together.
Right. This sticking then significantly reduces the crucial gliding motion that allows for effortless movement, and it increases stiffness.
Okay, that part's clear. But what about the cells?
Well, it doesn't just stop there. Those fibroblasts, the primary cells within your fascia, are exquisitely sensitive to this inflammatory environment. They get stimulated by inflammatory mediators and, again, go into overdrive.
Producing too much collagen.
Exactly. Excessively producing extracellular matrix components, especially collagen. But instead of the healthy, organized collagen you see in fluid fascia, this new collagen is often laid down in a disorganized, haphazard, stiffening way. This leads to fibrosis.
Which is that scarring or hardening.
Yes, the formation of dense, hardened, scar-like tissue. And these fibroblasts can even differentiate, change shape and function into what are called myofibroblasts.
Myofibroblasts, what do they do?
They're tricky. They have properties of both fibroblasts producing collagen and smooth muscle cells, meaning they can actually contract.
Contract, so they pull things tighter.
Yes. They contribute to the chronic thickening and contraction of the tissues, literally pulling them tighter and tighter over time.
Wow. Okay, that explains a lot.
It does. This complex cellular response explains why reduced fascial mobility often worsens over time and persists even when movement is restored. It's not always due to immediate, obvious scarring from a major injury. Sometimes it reflects a more diffuse, widespread response of the fascia to ongoing injury or stress, and it gets exaggerated by a lack of movement.
So it's a fundamental change in the tissue itself.
It is a fundamental change in the tissue's composition and structure. This makes it not easily undone, and crucially, it often requires more than just conventional stretching to address effectively.
This is a huge revelation, I think, for anyone who's ever felt chronically tight and felt like traditional stretching just doesn't work for them or the relief is super temporary. So why isn't stretching alone enough when it comes to breaking down these fascial restrictions?
That's a critical distinction our sources make, and it's truly important for understanding chronic pain and stiffness. Persistent tightness and stiffness, especially the kind that doesn't respond well to conventional, sort of quick, bouncy stretching.
Yeah, the kind you do before sports sometimes.
Right. That often originates from restricted fascia rather than merely short or tight muscles. You see, fascia is incredibly strong, it's fibrous, and it's designed for stabilization. It naturally resists quick or passive elongation.
And to hold us together, right?
Exactly. So if you have adhesions or that gummy, crinkled up fascia we talked about, simply pulling on it like you would a muscle often provides only very temporary relief, or sometimes it can even cause micro tears.
Ouch.
Because the underlying structural restriction in the fascial web hasn't been truly addressed. The stickiness is still there. It needs a different approach, one that focuses on slow, sustained decompression, rehydration, and a deeper, more mindful release that encourages the tissue to actually lengthen and soften over time.
Okay, slow and sustained, not quick pulls. So what are the actual biomechanical consequences of this restricted fascia on our muscles and joints and on our overall body mechanics? How does it truly impact our physical functioning and performance day to day?
Well, the consequences are widespread and often cascade throughout the body, unfortunately. When fascia is restricted, it directly prevents proper muscle gliding.
That smooth movement.
Right, which is absolutely essential for smooth, efficient movement. Imagine your muscles trying to contract and relax, but their fascial sleeves are stuck together. It's like trying to move with your clothes glued to your skin.
Not very efficient.
Not at all. It also has profound effects on the nervous system. Restricted fascia can compress nerves,
Like in carpal tunnel.
or sciatica, leading to neurological symptoms like numbness, tingling, pins and needles, or localized weakness. And crucially, it limits blood flow and lymphatic drainage.
Affecting circulation and waste removal.
Yes, hindering the transport of nutrients to the tissues and the removal of waste products from the tissues, which further perpetuates inflammation and stiffness. It's another vicious cycle.
Okay, so what about movement itself?
Fundamentally, fascial restriction alters how muscles contract and how joints move. It leads to a reduced range of motion and decreased power output. And because your body is incredibly smart, it always seeks the path of least resistance to accomplish a movement.
It compensates.
It compensates. These restrictions force you to adopt compensatory movement patterns. This means you start moving in ways that aren't ideal or efficient, putting undue strain on other muscles, joints, or even entire regions of your body.
Setting yourself up for more problems down the line.
Exactly. Creating a vicious cycle of imbalance and potential new injuries. For example, if your hip fascia is tight on one side, you might compensate by twisting your lower back slightly every time you walk, eventually.
Back pain.
Back pain. That seems unrelated, but it's connected through the fascial web.
This sounds like a recipe for not just chronic pain, but also impaired performance and even the nervous system getting involved. And what about those knots people often talk about feeling? Are those directly related to fascia?
They absolutely are, and they are a very common and often debilitating manifestation of fascial dysfunction. We call them myofascial trigger points.
Trigger points, okay.
These are highly irritable, tender spots, those knots. You feel that form within taut bands of skeletal muscle and their surrounding fascia. Pressure on these points can elicit intense localized pain right there.
Yeah, you find one and it really hurts.
Exactly. But characteristically, they also cause referred pain.
Referred pain, meaning pain somewhere else.
Yes, pain felt in seemingly unrelated parts of the body. This phenomenon strongly highlights the truly interconnected nature of the fascial system. For example, a trigger point in one of your shoulder muscles might cause referred pain down your arm or into your hand, or even give you a headache.
Wow. So the source isn't where the pain is felt.
Often, no.
Yeah.
Trigger points often arise from muscle overuse, direct trauma, repetitive activities, prolonged static postures, and, as we discussed, significant psychological stress.
Stress again.
Stress again. Our sources indicate that fascia itself, being highly innervated, can be a direct source of pain. This helps explain that kind of pain that shifts or travels, or the elusive referred pain that makes accurate diagnosis particularly challenging for many chronic conditions.
So maybe that weird pain isn't so weird after all.
It suggests that many chronic, elusive pains that don't respond to traditional muscle or joint treatments might actually have a primary fascial origin. When fascia is restricted, it hinders athletic performance and daily functional movement because the body's ability to achieve full joint range of motion, maintain muscle flexibility, and generate optimal muscle power is diminished.
Makes sense.
Muscles associated with trigger points can even exhibit localized weakness, a condition sometimes called myasthenia, despite no actual muscle atrophy or wasting. And in severe cases, impaired fascial flow can lead to muscle tremors or even convulsions due to disrupted signaling. It's truly a pervasive and complex problem when fascia isn't healthy.
Okay, here's where it gets, I think, truly profound. Let's circle back to the emotional connection. What if your body has been remembering things your mind has long forgotten? What if that chronic neck pain isn't just bad posture, but an old conversation where you felt silenced? What if your chest tightness isn't purely physical, but maybe the echo of a heartbreak you never fully cried out loud? Our sources dive deep into fascia's role as a memory keeper. This isn't just metaphor, is it? You said that before.
No, it is absolutely not metaphor. This is the truth of fascia, and our sources strongly suggest fascia doesn't forget. They discuss the profound concept that fascia acts as an emotional architecture, quite literally holding emotional history and psychological defenses within its physical structure.
Emotional architecture.
Yeah, think about your own body, how it reacts. Your fascia tightens when you shrink in fear, it braces when you're holding back tears, it constricts when you're not allowed to scream, and it softens when you finally exhale. These aren't just figures of speech.
They feel real.
They feel real because they are real, physically. Have you ever noticed that persistent lump in your throat when you want to speak your truth but can't? Or a tight, constricted chest when you feel rejected or are carrying grief? Or a perpetually clenched jaw when you're trying to stay composed under pressure?
Yes, absolutely.
Fascia remembers these moments. It's not just the brain that stores trauma and emotional history, it's the body. And fascia is the very physical book, the literal tissue in which that story is written.
This immediately brings to mind Wilhelm Reich's groundbreaking work on body armor. Was he onto something with his ideas about psychological energy becoming bound in the body, manifesting as muscular tension?
Absolutely. Wilhelm Reich, an early 20th century pioneer in body-mind sciences, was profoundly onto something when he introduced concepts like character armor and muscular armor.
Okay.
He defined armoring as psychic energy becoming bound by muscular contraction, preventing its free flow and expression. Now, while Reich initially focused predominantly on muscle contractions as the primary site of these holdings,
He thought it was mostly muscle.
primarily, yes, but later reevaluations by his followers and crucially modern scientific understanding of tissue have refined this view. They suggest that these holdings, this underlying rigidity, are primarily rooted in hypertonic fascia.
Hypertonic, meaning tight fascia.
Exactly. Dense, stiff connective tissue accumulates when individuals engage in body armoring. This armor serves as a profound protective mechanism against intense, overwhelming emotions or unresolved trauma. It's almost like a physical coping mechanism for inhibited fight-or-flight responses.
Protecting yourself physically from feeling.
In a way, yes. And the tragic irony is that this accumulation of muscular tension and fascial adhesions often develops so subtly over time that the armored person becomes completely unaware of their own rigidity and unaware of the emotional history stored within their physical form. It provides a compelling scientific basis for the powerful idea that your body literally holds emotional history and defenses.
So, when we experience trauma, and our body instinctively goes into that freeze response, where the fight or flight energy can't fully discharge what then happens to the fascia, does it get stuck there?
That's exactly what the sources suggest. When a traumatic event occurs and the body is unable to complete its natural self-protective fight or flight response, it often goes into a freeze state. Our sources use the poignant analogy of a computer crash. The system just halts. Overload. And that immense undischarged energy gets literally locked into the fascia. Fascia, in this context, truly acts as a jail cell, holding this unresolved tension.
Wow, a jail cell.
Yeah. And unlike the mind, which processes and moves through time, fascia doesn't seem to process time in the same linear way. If that trauma isn't fully processed, resolved, or expressed, the contraction and the emotional signature remain embedded in the fascial web.
Even if you forget the event.
Even if you consciously forget the event, you might grow older, wiser, but the physical shape of your body still remembers. The way you hold your spine, the chronic tension in your hips, maybe a collapse in your chest, a rigid neck. These are not just mechanical adaptations, they are profound emotional signatures etched into your fascia.
So posture is emotion too.
Posture is often embodied emotion. Because fascia wraps around every muscle, nerve, and organ, these ingrained postural signatures fundamentally affect how we breathe, how we move, how we digest food, how we sleep, and even how we relate to others in the world around us. You're not just carrying stress in your body has become the very memory of that stress.
That's a powerful and, somewhat haunting idea that our bodies are living libraries of experience capable of remembering what our conscious minds have forgotten. It makes me think, Have you ever tried meditating and felt your awareness just stuck persistently in your head, or found yourself feeling emotionally numb, unable to connect with your feelings even when you try? Could this be related to fascia acting as that emotional armor?
It absolutely could be. And for many people, it's a very real, frustrating experience. When fascia is hardened, densified, armored around crucial areas like the pelvis, the gut, or the heart, our energetic and emotional centers, it acts like a physical barrier, an emotional armor.
Blocking feelings.
Exactly. You might desperately want to feel, to process, to express, but your body physically doesn't let you. You simply feel emotionally numb, disconnected, or perpetually stuck in your head, analyzing instead of feeling. This isn't always clinical depression. It can be a profound freeze response, where fascia stores suppressed emotions and trauma like a vault, holding them rigidly in place.
So the feeling is trapped.
Trapped. When this emotional armor is locked too long, your emotional body can effectively go offline. You might find you don't cry easily, you don't really feel anger, you just exist, feeling somewhat numb or disconnected from your own inner landscape. And this is precisely why simply trying to stretch trauma out like a sore hamstring often doesn't work long term. Because if the underlying emotional signal hasn't been acknowledged, felt, and given permission to move through, the tension often just returns. The body stops trusting that it's truly safe to let go and feel. The armor snaps back into place.
So the persistence of these fascial memories means that truly deep-seated fascial work isn't just a physical manipulation, but it can actually lead to profound emotional shifts and breakthroughs that conscious awareness alone often can't access.
Precisely. Fascia, unlike muscle, which tends to relax more readily when not actively contracting, has this unique capacity to maintain chronic tension through those structural changes we talked about, the adhesions, the thickening, the fibrosis, the myofibroblasts contracting.
So it holds tension differently.
It holds tension differently, more stubbornly perhaps. This refines Reich's original hypothesis and provides a compelling explanation for the persistence of chronic tension, even when the initial emotional or physical stressors are no longer consciously present. Fascia, with its capacity for structural adaptation and adhesion, appears to act as a more permanent storage medium for chronic tension and the physical residue of trauma than muscles alone might.
Right.
This means that indeed, deep-seated, mindful fascial work can access and release long-held patterns, physical and emotional, that conscious awareness or simple muscle relaxation techniques often cannot. This frequently leads to profound physical and emotional shifts happening simultaneously.
The mind-body connection in action.
Absolutely. This profound connection is further underscored by the intimate connection between fascia and the autonomic nervous system, which controls our stress response. The research suggests that changing fascial structure, softening it, making it more pliable, can fundamentally influence the nervous system's habitual responses to stress and trauma. It can slowly re-educate the body to feel safe, to downshift from fight or flight or freeze. It truly implies a holistic path to healing and integration of mind and body.
So we've talked about how fascia holds individual stories and even emotions, but what's fascinating here is how it creates system-wide effects, like a ripple through your entire body. It's not just about isolated points of tension, is it? It's bigger than that.
Not at all. It's much bigger. This brings us to the crucial concept of myofascial chains or meridians.
Chains are meridians, like train lines through the body.
That's a great analogy. Often referred to as trains or lines, they describe anatomically continuous bands of fascial tissue that span across and throughout your entire body. Researchers like Thomas Myers in his work on anatomy trains have meticulously identified several of these intricate pathways.
Like maps of the fascia.
Kind of, yeah. Things like the superficial back line, the lateral line running down your side, the spiral line that wraps around the torso, various arm lines. These aren't just theoretical constructs. They function as verifiable vectors of kinetic continuity and empirical force channels.
Meaning they really transmit force along these lines.
Exactly. They demonstrate precisely how forces are transmitted and directed throughout the entire musculoskeletal system, connecting seemingly disparate parts of the body.
So a problem in one spot can literally pull on something far away, almost like a snag in a sweater. Can you give us a concrete example of this domino effect in action?
Absolutely. The principle of biotensegrity, which describes the complex, continuous balance of compression and tension throughout the global fascial net, means that a change, a restriction, or an adhesion in one area profoundly alters the entire system.
Like that spider web again?
Exactly like that spider web we talked about earlier. If you pull one strand, the tension is distributed and felt throughout the entire net.
Okay, so give me an example.
A classic example, which many listeners might unfortunately relate to, is how plantar fasciitis in the foot.
Oh yeah, painful heel stuff.
Right, how that can actually contribute to chronic low back pain.
Foot pain causing back pain, how?
Because the fascia of the sole of your foot, the plantar fascia, is continuous with the fascia up the back of your leg, Achilles tendon, calf muscles, into your hamstrings, and then connecting directly into your glutes and the thick fascia of your lower back.
All one piece.
Functionally, yes, a continuous line. So a chronic tightness or restriction in your foot's fascia can pull on that entire posterior chain, creating compensatory tension and misalignment further up the body, contributing to that lower back pain.
Wow. Okay. Any others?
Or consider how a chronically tight hip on one side can influence shoulder mechanics on the opposite side.
Opposite side.
Yes, through those spiral lines, leading to shoulder pain that seems to have no local cause. Similarly, a constantly clenched jaw, perhaps due to stress, that can transmit tension down the side of the neck, through the shoulder, and even subtly impact the opposite hip's mobility as it creates a twist in the body's fascial system. This domino effect means that treating only the symptomatic site, just rubbing the sore spot, often provides only temporary relief.
Because the root cause is elsewhere.
Exactly. Or sometimes the symptoms just shift to another area rather than leading to a true, lasting resolution of the underlying systemic misalignment. It emphatically emphasizes the need for a truly holistic, whole-body assessment. You have to look at the whole web.
And how do these widespread restrictions in fascia ultimately lead to the postural deviations and imbalances we so commonly see in people today? The slumped shoulders, the forward head.
Well, fascial adhesions and restrictions create areas of chronic, increased tension that actively pull the body out of its ideal alignment. They literally pull you into these postural distortions.
It's the fascia pulling us out of shape.
It's a major factor. And this isn't just cosmetic. These misalignments create significant muscle imbalances. Some muscles become chronically tight and shortened because the fascia around them is restricted, while their opposing muscles become weak and overstretched, trying to fight that pull.
A constant tug of war.
Exactly. This imbalance then places undue, increased stress on joints, accelerating wear and tear. Over time, these tight connective tissue chains can physically distort the skeleton itself, creating subtle but significant changes in the natural curves of the spine or the positioning of the pelvis.
So fascia shapes our posture.
Fascia isn't just a passive recipient of stress. Our sources call it an active architect of body alignment. The biotensegrity model truly illustrates how changes in tension within the fascial net dynamically alter overall body form and function. Common issues directly linked to fascial dysfunction include the ubiquitous rounded shoulders, that forward head position often from prolonged screen time,
Text
neck, computer neck, and uneven shoulders or hips, which are often exacerbated by prolonged sitting or poor ergonomic setups at work. These are often visible signs that your fascial network is literally holding your body in a dysfunctional posture.
So the consequences extend far beyond just how we look. They impact our entire physical system. How do these widespread fascial restrictions ultimately impact our overall movement efficiency, our athletic performance, and even our basic quality of life?
The ripple effects are profound and pervasive. Impaired fascial flow, that stickiness, that lack of glide, not only causes localized stiffness and pain, but also leads to poor balance, reduced coordination, and decreased endurance. Everyday activities just start to feel much more taxing.
Everything feels harder.
Yeah. Individuals with fascial dysfunction often develop very clever, but ultimately maladaptive compensatory movement patterns to avoid pain or accommodate their restricted areas. They learn to move around the restriction.
But that causes other problems.
Exactly. These compensations over time further perpetuate imbalances and significantly increase the risk of new injuries as other parts of the body are forced to work harder or in ways they weren't designed to.
Okay. What else?
What's more, remember we discussed fascia as a major proprioceptive organ, densely innervated with sensory nerves?
The body awareness system.
Right. When fascial restrictions occur, they directly interfere with this crucial sensory system. This leads to a diminished sense of where your body is in space, which manifests as decreased coordination and balance. You literally don't sense yourself accurately.
That sounds disorienting.
It can be. And it creates a detrimental feedback loop. Poor posture and movement patterns contribute directly to fascial restriction.
Which then messes up your ability to sense your posture.
Exactly. Which then impairs the body's ability to accurately sense its position and movement. This impaired proprioception makes it incredibly harder for the body to self-correct its alignment, thereby perpetuating and potentially worsening the misalignment over time.
It just gets worse and worse.
Potentially, yes. Ultimately, unaddressed postural imbalances stemming from fascial restrictions can lead to a cascade of chronic musculoskeletal problems, significantly reduced flexibility, persistent pain, and increased difficulty with even simple everyday movements, profoundly impacting your overall quality of life and your ability to engage fully with the world.
Okay. This all sounds, well, a bit daunting, right? Like our bodies are holding on to so much tension in old stories, and it feels like maybe an uphill battle to change it.
It can feel that way, absolutely.
But the good news is, you said fascia is designed to move, to flow, to adapt, to hydrate.
Right.
It wants to release, right?
Yeah.
It isn't inherently rigid forever.
That's the truly hopeful and empowering part of this deep dive. Yes, fascia has incredible plasticity.
So what can we actually do to help it? What are the holistic approaches to restoring fascial health and reclaiming our body's natural fluidity?
Right, the solutions. Our sources emphasize that effective treatment for fascial dysfunction is rarely a singular approach. It really necessitates a comprehensive, multimodal strategy, recognizing the body as an integrated whole.
Not just one magic bullet.
Definitely not. And what's truly fascinating here is the powerful convergence of ancient intuitive wisdom and modern scientific validation. Pioneering observations in alternative medicine, think Ida Rolf's structural integration, Moshe Feldenkrais's mindful movement education, Wilhelm Reich's body armoring concepts. These are now being increasingly validated by modern research on fascial anatomy, physiology, and neurophysiology.
So the science is catching up with the intuition.
In many ways, yes. It highlights the critical importance of a holistic approach that integrates various methods, acknowledging that deep mind-body connection. For instance, Rolfing's structural integration systematically aims to realign the body within the field of gravity by releasing chronic fascial holding patterns layer by layer.
Okay.
And the Feldenkrais method uses gentle, mindful movement and sometimes fascial imagery to re-educate the nervous system and restore fluidity, helping the body find easier ways to move.
Let's start with the hands-on approaches. What are some of the manual therapies that can directly address fascial restrictions and help release those sticky, gummy areas we talked about?
Okay, hands-on. When it comes to manual work, myofascial release, or MFR, is a primary and often highly effective technique.
MFR, okay.
How does it work? It typically uses gentle, sustained pressure or stretching, often held for several minutes at a time.
So not deep, hard massage.
Not necessarily, often quite gentle but sustained. The goal is to alleviate pain and restore movement by elongating the fascia, helping to break down those adhesions and improving blood flow and hydration to the area.
Getting things unstuck.
Exactly. There are different approaches. Direct MFR, where a therapist applies pressure directly on the restricted area they feel, and indirect MFR, which uses very gentle pressure and stretching, sometimes in seemingly unrelated areas, to encourage the fascia to release on its own through that interconnected web.
Interesting. What else?
Another common approach is trigger point therapy. This involves applying specific, sustained pressure directly to those hyper-irritable knots we discussed.
Finding the knot and pressing on it.
Basically, yes. Aiming to release the local tension and often the referred pain associated with it. Other related manual modalities include various forms of therapeutic massage, which can certainly improve circulation and reduce superficial fascial tension.
Okay.
There's active release techniques, air art, which combines pressure with specific patient movements to break down adhesions, often from repetitive use injuries. Dry needling, where fine needles are inserted into trigger points or taut bands to elicit a twitch response and release tension.
Sounds intense.
It can be, but often effective. And acupuncture, which also works on myofascial pain patterns, often along energy meridians that intriguingly align with many of those fascial lines we discussed.
Fascinating overlap. Are there gentler options too?
Absolutely. Beyond these, there are even lighter touch therapies like craniosacral therapy. This uses very gentle touch, often barely perceptible, to feel and release subtle tension patterns throughout the entire fascial network, particularly around the skull, spine, and sacrum. The theory is that these restrictions impact the flow of cerebrospinal fluid and the nervous system.
Very subtle work.
Very subtle. And Bowen work, which is another system using precise, gentle rolling movements over specific muscles, tendons, and fascia, it's believed to release fascial tension and activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, allowing the body to kind of reset and self-correct.
Okay, lots of hands-on options. So that's the external help, often from a professional. What about movement-based interventions? We already heard that traditional stretching might not be enough for chronic fascial issues. What's the nuance there and what mindful movement practices can actually help?
Right. The nuance with stretching is key. While regular full range of motion stretching is absolutely essential for overall musculoskeletal health and muscle flexibility, for chronic fascial restrictions, it often isn't enough on its own.
Why again?
Because fascia, being tough and fibrous, resists quick or passive elongation. It needs that targeted decompression, hydration, and a slow, sustained release to truly encourage a change in its structure. This fundamentally challenges the conventional wisdom that just stretching tight muscles is the whole answer. Sometimes the container of the fascia is the bigger issue.
Okay, so slow, sustained holds might be better for fascia.
Often, yes. Or active movements that engage the fascial lines. Beyond this specific type of stretching, regular, varied exercise and physical activity are profoundly crucial for maintaining healthy fascia.
Just moving more.
Just moving more and moving in different ways. Movement, especially multidirectional and varied movement, prevents the collagen fibers from sticking together. It improves fascial fluid flow and enhances overall mobility. Think about moving in spirals, circles, not just straight lines.
Good point.
Postural and ergonomic training are also fundamental for preventing chronic strain and promoting proper alignment, especially given how much time many of us spend sitting or using devices. Learning to sit, stand, and move with better support and alignment can prevent a huge amount of habitual fascial bracing.
Changing those daily habits.
Exactly. And then we come to mindful movement practices, which are incredibly powerful for fascial health because they often integrate awareness. The Feldenkrais method, for instance, uses gentle, mindful movements, often small, subtle, and repetitive, to improve self-awareness and movement efficiency.
How does that help fascia?
It implicitly addresses fascial tension by re-educating global movement patterns and enhancing sensory perception. It helps you find easier, more efficient ways to move, which naturally reduces strain. It sometimes uses fascial imagery, teaching you to sense or imagine the continuous fascial pathways like your back line, front line, lateral lines, spiral connections to help individuals find true length by balancing these lines of tension. This allows joints to unfold more fully and access larger degrees of freedom.
Interesting. What about things like yoga?
Yoga and Pilates are also highly beneficial. Their emphasis on sustained poses, controlled movements, core stability, and importantly, breath work directly impacts fascial flexibility and can alleviate myofascial symptoms. Functional movement and balance training offers tailored exercises to build strength and coordination within real-world movement patterns, making you more resilient. And the Alexander technique teaches you to recognize and consciously change habitual movement and posture patterns that cause tension, leading to a general lengthening and decompression of fascial tissue throughout your body.
It sounds like there's a strong emphasis on conscious awareness and skilled intervention in a lot of these. But what about daily habits? What can we do on our own every single day, maybe without needing a therapist or teacher right there, to support fascial health?
Lifestyle considerations are absolutely vital, yes. Because fascia is so responsive to our overall well-being and daily habits. Firstly, and maybe most simply, hydration.
Drink more water.
Drink more water. Adequate water intake is crucial for maintaining the proper consistency of that hyaluronan, the essential lubricant. Without enough water, your fascia can literally dry out and become stiffer, stickier.
It's still but important.
Very. Secondly, nutrition plays a direct role. Sufficient vitamin C and protein are needed for healthy collagen synthesis and repair. And conversely, avoiding excessive sugar intake is recommended, as we mentioned, because it can negatively affect fascia's elasticity by cross-linking collagen fibers, making them more brittle and less resilient.
Okay, diet again. What about stress?
Given the strong link between emotional stress and fascial tension, stress management and relaxation practices are also vital. Techniques like deep, diaphragmatic breathing, meditation, mindfulness, anything that helps regulate the nervous system can thereby help reduce chronic muscular and fascial tension.
Calming the system calms the fascia.
Exactly. And remember, it's a bidirectional relationship. Releasing physical tension through fascial work can have profound positive emotional benefits too. Adequate sleep is critical for the body's overall recovery and repair processes, including fascia, and it helps mitigate the development of trigger points. And finally, simple applications of heat therapy, like warm baths or heat packs, can help relax muscles and restore some elasticity to fascial tissue, promoting circulation and softening things up a bit.
Okay, those are all good practical tips. But earlier, you mentioned something really intriguing. You said fascia responds to presence, not pressure, to curiosity, not control, and to slowness, not speed. This isn't about forcing your fascia to open, is it? Especially when we talk about those deeper emotional layers and those long-held memories. Our sources really emphasize a different approach, it sounds like, more like an invitation.
That's a truly crucial point, yes. And it's really at the heart of much of the modern fascial and somatic work. Fascia, particularly when it's holding chronic tension or trauma, doesn't respond well to brute force or quick, aggressive stretching. It can actually tighten up more defensively.
So you can't just attack it.
No. It responds better to presence, your mindful attention, not just pressure. To curiosity, gently exploring sensation, not trying to control or fix it. And to slowness, giving it time to process and respond, not speed. It's not about commanding it to open. It's about creating the right internal environment safety, basically for it to feel it can release. And learning to listen to its subtle signals.
How do we do that? How do we listen and create safety?
Well, one incredibly powerful and accessible tool is somatic breathing. Slow, conscious, deeply felt breathing.
How is that different from normal breathing?
It's about awareness. Try placing one hand on your belly and the other on your chest. Inhale softly and deeply, allowing the belly to expand first, then the rib cage, then exhale gently and completely, maybe even with a sigh. As you breathe, bring your awareness inside. Where does your breath go easily? Where does it feel stuck, shallow, or inhibited?
Noticing the tight spots.
Exactly. Those skipped zones or areas of shallow breathing are often fascia strongholds, places where you've learned to hide, to hold tension, or to brace against emotion. Just noticing them without judgment is the first step. Your breath, used consciously like this, is like a gentle messenger telling your fascia, it's okay, you can soften here, you're safe to expand.
Breathing into the tension. Okay. And what about that fascinating idea of unwinding that you touched on earlier? This sounds very different.
Fascia unwinding is a beautiful, really gentle, instinctive movement practice. It's where you allow micro movements to arise in your body without consciously directing them.
Letting the body move itself.
Essentially, yes. You might lie down comfortably, close your eyes, and simply feel into areas of holding maybe your spine, your hips, your jaw, your shoulders. And then you patiently wait with curiosity and let any impulse to move, maybe a tiny wiggle, a stretch, a tremor, a rotation, emerge spontaneously.
What does it look like?
It might look strange from the outside, a little shaky, maybe asymmetrical, perhaps unusual, and you may even feel emotions bubble up as the tissue releases because you're letting go of the control that held them in. But that's fascia releasing through its own language of motion. This isn't performance, it's deep permission and trust in your body's innate wisdom to know how to release itself.
Allowing, not doing.
Allowing, not doing. Similarly, practices like yin yoga and restorative poses leverage the power of stillness and time. These are passive, long-held poses, typically held for 3 to 5 minutes or even longer, using props for support.
So you just relax into the shape.
You relax into the shape, letting time and gravity apply a gentle, sustained stress to the fascia. This promotes that profound physical and sometimes emotional melting effect. It allows the hyaluronan to become more fluid, the collagen fibers to slowly reorganize. Emotions or long-held memories may naturally surface during these practices.
That sounds intense, too.
It can be. The goal is to simply allow them to move through without judgment, letting the fascia rewrite itself from within, letting go of what it no longer needs to hold. It's a deep release.
And for those who want to try some self-care at home with tools to work with their fascia, like foam rollers.
Yes, self-myofascial release tools like foam rollers, soft therapy balls, or even tennis balls can be incredibly effective. But again, the key is not about applying maximum force or rolling really fast like you're trying to tenderize meat.
Right, I've seen people do that. It looks painful.
It often is, and potentially counterproductive for deep release. Instead, find a tender or tight point. Apply slow, steady, sustained pressure, often for 90 seconds to 2 minutes, or until you feel a softening. And simply breathe into the sensation, feel what's happening. The goal isn't to fix it aggressively, but to feel, to dialogue with your fascia. It releases when it feels seen, when it feels heard, when it knows it's safe to let go.
Dialogue, not attack. I like that. Any other self-care techniques?
Lastly, and this might sound a bit unusual, but vocal toning and sound release can be incredibly effective and surprisingly profound.
Humming.
Croning. Exactly. Fascia loves resonance. Inhaling slowly and exhaling with a deep hum or a sigh or a sustained vowel sound like oh or oh, feeling the vibration move into your chest, your belly, your pelvis, even your jaw. Sound waves can find and help restore fluidity to areas that silence and suppression may have locked away.
Interesting. Sound shakes things loose.
In a way, yes. The true work in all these practices, the breathing, the unwinding, the yin, the self-release, the sound, is not about doing or forcing. It's about allowing, trusting your body's timeline, and befriending discomfort with curiosity and compassion. This is fundamentally about healing your relationship with your body, letting it know it's seen, loved, and safe enough to release and express its true story. And this all leads back to the importance of early intervention and consistent self-care. Addressing dysfunction early prevents it from becoming deeply chronic and harder to shift. Consistent self-myofascial release, varied exercise, deep hydration, and good nutrition are really key for prevention and managing recurrence.
Wow, what an absolutely incredible deep dive into something so fundamental, so pervasive, yet so often unseen within our own bodies. From a mere wrapping to the body's dynamic structural integrity, its intricate communication system, its profound memory keeper, and even its emotional architecture. Fascia truly reshapes how we think about chronic pain, persistent stiffness, our posture, and even our deepest emotional lives. It's a profound, really holistic shift in perspective.
Indeed. The core insights from our sources, I think, are beautifully clear. Fascia is not just some passive tissue. It is absolutely critical for both your physical and your emotional well-being. Chronic tension and unexplained stiffness are rarely isolated issues. Instead, they are often systemic manifestations, a complex story written in your very tissues, shaped by your movements, your injuries, your habits, and yes, your emotions.
It's a story we can learn to read.
Exactly. The powerful convergence of ancient intuitive wisdom from practices like Rolfing and Reichian therapy with modern scientific validation through anatomical and neurophysiological research shows us that true lasting relief and transformation usually come from a holistic, integrated approach that honors the entire person. It's about acknowledging the body's innate intelligence and its profound capacity to heal and eventually to tell its story differently.
That's hopeful.
It is. When fascia begins to soften, when it truly starts to release those long-held patterns, it's not just your physical health that improves, though that's huge. It's often your emotional clarity, your sense of presence, your very sense of self in the world that can shift. You might find yourself standing taller, literally and figuratively, breathing more deeply, feeling more grounded, perhaps even crying more easily or speaking more honestly without the old physical bracing getting in the way.
Releasing the armor.
Releasing the armor. So here's a thought to ponder. What if the path to becoming truly whole and integrated again lies not in pushing harder or forcing change, but in learning to gently listen, to soften, to feel, and to breathe, allowing your body to finally feel safe enough to exhale the story it's been holding all along?
That's a truly powerful and reflective thought to leave you with. To consider the whispers, perhaps, and the unspoken stories held within your own body. We hope this deep dive into fascia has offered you new insights and maybe a profound path to listening more closely to your body's secret storyteller.